to Brooklands, which was unsuccessful, and then put him in the clutches of Liam McNeely in the Fox Motorsport car, and Liam McNeely would manage to get up the inside into Maggots, which would put him on the outside of Beckett's and then the inside of Chappell, and would successfully complete that move. And the poor exit out of Chappell meant that Colin Queen was now under pressure from his teammate Ruhan Alva, who went all the way around the outside of Stowe Corner with an excellent manoeuvre to put him in 4th place and the leading Fortec driver, while Tom Mills extended his gap at the front of the field. Then the Fortec battle continued on as Colin Queen went around the outside of Vale, which put him on the inside to Club, and that move was successful and meant that he got himself back up into 4th position with Jack Clifford close behind. Unfortunately, the VRD car of Zach Ping would end up in the gravel late on in the race, and he would be beached there, which would bring out the safety car, and unfortunately there was not enough time to complete any more racing laps, so therefore it was Tom Mills who took the victory in race 2 of the weekend.
So a very successful weekend back at Silverstone for Tom Mills. Those 2 race wins mean he now has 8 race wins this year to go with 2 from last year. So he's a 10-time GB4 race winner. He could win the championship, as I said, as early as tomorrow morning. We'll find out how that goes after this first race coming up. Now, we've got people watching from around the world. We have drivers representing loads of different countries, including India, Australia, America, Scotland, the UK. Let's just remind ourselves where we are. We are to the southeast of London, in the southeast of England, in Kent. We're here at Brands Hatch, and let's take a look at the track that these drivers will be racing on coming up shortly.
Well, to West Kingsdown in Kent then, as we head to the jewel of Kent. It is Brands Hatch, one of the most iconic circuits in the United Kingdom, most notably courtesy of its undulation and iconic corners. Paddock Hill, Surtees, up into the Grand Prix loop when you go into the woods, up to Hawthorne's Bend. All of these corners are absolutely iconic. We begin this drop down the hill through Westfield Bend, up Dingledale, and then through the Sheen Curve into Stirlings, and that final run down to the last corner. It is a difficult track to overtake at the best of times. Qualifying and track position will be absolutely key to success around here, as working your way through the field will be difficult, especially when it comes to working up positions in the reverse grid race. You can see the undulation and the up and down of the circuit is its most notable feature, dropping all the way down through Paddock Hill before rising up towards Druids. It's a fantastic circuit. It's a short circuit, just 2.5 miles all the way around through all of these really tricky corners, all 11 of them, most of them going to the right. Leaning on that front left is a key thing around here, so keeping control of your tyres on this very toasty September weekend is going to be very, very important.
That's where we're racing this weekend, and that is where we could be crowning a new GB4 champion. Let's take a look at the standings going into this first race then. Tom Mills, 422 points, a 98-point gap for the KMR Sport driver over Cooper Webster for Evans GP in second. He's on 324 place. Liam McNeely on 279 for Fox Motorsport, and then the only other guy that can really challenge for a trophy, Colin Queen, 274 points, driving for Fortec in 4th place. Piers Pryor is our driver, our expert, and our co-commentator here in the KMR Sport awning. Actually, we've got one of the GB4 cars behind us here, and with it being such a hot day, you know, in the 30s, tyres are really, really important. How quickly can tyres go off when it's too hot out on track?
I mean, we saw at the sort of the start, and we'll see at the end of the year when it's cooler, that the GB4 cars, the tyres are best at the end of the session, but when it's 30 degrees air temperature, 35, 40, 45 degrees track temperature, it makes it a bit easier for the drivers in qualifying to get the tyres switched on, to have a couple of quick laps. But it also does, as you mentioned, bring in the fact that potentially the tyres might go off towards the end of a stint or the weekend, of course, with it being only 6 tyres for quali in the 3 races.
Well, look, it's a different car to the GB3 car in physicality, mainly because you have the halo, but also the GB3 car, we have the air intake on the side. How differently do these cars react in the heat?
The heat, to be honest, it's a similar thing. Generally, tyres come in quicker, but then they go off sooner. But as we know, the GB4 car, less aerodynamic grip than the GB3 car. So around the back section of Brands Hatch GP that we're racing on this weekend, it's full commitment, but the car will be moving around a lot, and we'll be seeing that in the races, and you have to be fully committed and on the limit of grip the whole time.
It's going to be a really, really exciting race to see. Now, we do have a new face on the grid. It's happened a lot in the GB4 Championship this year. Driving for Graham Brunton Racing, Sebastian prefers to be called Seb Murray, and I caught up with him and some of the other drivers yesterday to see how they're feeling ahead of race 1 here at Brands Hatch. So Seb, you're here for your first race weekend with Graham Brunton Racing. How have you found it so far in the test days?
Really good so far. I've only had one test day in this car before, so just getting to grips with the track and the car because I've never been at Brands before as well, and so far it's going quite well.
So you're new to this championship this weekend. What have you raced before? What's your experience in the world of motorsport so far?
I've done one season earlier this year in the UAE, in F4 UAE, and that's about it in Formula cars, to be honest. And then, yeah, hopefully we'll just do this round and see what comes to the future.
We can obviously see the Scottish flag on your overalls there, but you are based in the Middle East. How well do you know these tracks in the UK?
I've never raced in the UK before. I've done a couple of races in karts before, the likes of Whittle Mill and PF, but I've never driven a car in the UK before, so it's going to be a good experience.
Now you're being coached as both drivers here at Graham Brunton Racing by Max Maserati, who came third in the championship in GB4 last year. Has he been useful to maybe give you some tips and get you up to speed a little bit quicker than you would have been if you were on your own?
Yeah, 100%. He's been great. We've been going through like solid data and camera and footage and everything after every session, and it's definitely benefited me well.
So finally, what are the hopes from this weekend? Obviously you've had a day of testing ahead of this weekend and you've got to grips with the car very, very quickly. What do you think is achievable?
I think we're definitely going to aim for a podium, but yeah, we'll see how the race weekend goes, and hopefully we can pick up the pace a bit quicker.
All right, cheers, Seb. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, Josh, welcome back. We've obviously seen you at Alton Park and Donington earlier in the season, and it's nice to have you back on the grid here at Brands Hatch. Are you hopeful for a good weekend? Things going well in testing?
Yeah, so I was P4 in that one. I didn't go new and a couple in front did, so hopefully I can keep that momentum on the GP track.
What have you been up to this summer? Because, I mean, the weather here is ridiculous this weekend. It's actually like summer in September, which is never ideal. It's not been the hottest year, but have you had some time off?
Yeah, it's been quite grim in the summer months, but we had a couple of races in the British F4. So Silverstone, which I actually won the first race in, and then Croft, which I had a double P4, and then Donington GP. But Donington didn't go too great. I just had a little bit unlucky with DNFs, and then just didn't have a pace I wanted.
How well do you know this track here at Brands Hatch? Obviously you haven't quite done that in F4, that's next month, but how well have you been doing here?
So Indy track I've driven before, which is what I'm testing on today, but the GP I've only done a day, because obviously it's limited testing with the noise restrictions. So I'll be excited to get some decent running in on the GP track. I mean, it's going to be difficult going straight into the GP track for qualifying, but it's something all of us has to do, so yeah.
How hard is it to manage doing two different championships at the same time? Obviously the cars are fairly similar when you look at them, but apparently very different when you come to drive them.
Yeah, these things handle a little bit nicer, just you can carry a little bit more corner speed, but it doesn't take too long to adjust. I mean, when it comes to lap time, they're within half a second, so yeah.
Very, very similar. You've had one podium here, third place in GB4 this year. Is it achievable to get another podium this weekend? Obviously, you haven't run for a couple of race weekends, and also you're the only car running for Elite Motorsport this weekend.
Yeah, it's hard with data, but podium's always possible. I think the pace today has been quite decent, so hopefully if I can keep that going, podium should be doable.
Dylan, here at Brands Hatch, the penultimate race weekend in the season. How are you feeling? How's testing been?
Yeah, we haven't really been testing much over the downtime, should we say, the last couple of weeks, but come here strong. We've had it on the dyno, the car, and we was 20 horsepower down, so it's a big difference. It was an intercooler problem. We've fixed that, and we seem to be second off everyone now. We're just learning the track, never been here before, so we'll see how it goes.
What kind of improvement are you seeing from when you're testing to maybe like the last race of the weekend? Because surely the more you drive it, the more data you get, more practice you're getting, the more the car gets suited to the track, the quicker the times.
Yeah, we're doing quite well. Back end of the weekend, we're doing really well. We're like maybe 3 or 4 seconds off, kind of ish, on some tracks, should I say? But yeah, I'm improving a lot over the weekends, and it's good to see it. I like everyone being happy about it, and yeah, it's good.
Obviously, for those who are just tuning in for the first time, you're a family team. Your dad's involved, your sister's over there as well. Have you had a family holiday in the summer?
No, my dad's currently on holiday now in Spain. He lands on Sunday at 2 o'clock in the morning. He's coming straight down here. But yeah, we don't have holidays. We just race. It's funner. So yeah.
Isn't it amazing how quick this season's gone? Because it feels like only a couple of weeks ago we were chatting at Alton Park ahead of the GB4 season. How do you look back on how you've improved so far this year? Because it's a slightly different project that you're running here.
Yeah, I think I've improved a lot. Definitely learnt the car. Everyone else had learnt the car, but we've improved massively over the time. No other team, like if you was in this team, you'd get put there straight away. Like we've had a big learning curve. It's been good fun.
Okay. Well, Jack, it's pretty much Australian weather, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. It's quite humid, but it's getting very warm. The other hot round was at Snetterton, and that was pretty hot, but this is another level. I remember we were setting up the awning yesterday. It was like 32. Today's a few degrees cooler. There's a lot more overcast. Track temps have stayed pretty stable throughout the day, but tomorrow's going to be a stinker.
There's only one thing worse than standing in direct sunlight, and that is putting up a very, very warm plastic tent, I would imagine. Now, we can see on your top there that it looks like sweat. I actually have to say it's not sweat. What is that?
Yeah, this is a wet towel. So at the end of each session, I have a wet towel that I put in the fridge, and then after the session, pull that out of the fridge and I put it over me. So that's just wet towel, not sweat.
We see some drivers have their kind of ice vests and whatever. Some have a paddling pool. Elite Motorsport have a paddling pool, but you've just gone with a classic wet towel, which I like because you're keeping it real. Now, I know we're speaking now after the second testing session. You've been pushing it really hard, haven't you? You've been trying to find that extra time, even maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, definitely been pushing hard. Only a couple of tenths off Tom after that second session. But yes, I did push things a little bit too far. I was a naughty boy with track limits, so I've had to rein that in a little bit, but as long as I don't do that in qualifying, we're all good.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You've highest finish this year is 4th, which is impressive. One step further, you get a trophy to take home to Australia eventually. Is that something that's achievable? Do you think either here or at Donington?
Yeah, I think that's definitely achievable if we keep this rate of improvement that we've got. I'm dying for a podium, but yeah, just gonna keep doing what I'm doing and let the podium come to me. You know, with my hard work rather than constantly, I've got to get a podium. I've got to get a podium. So we'll see.
I think that's called manifestation or something like that. That's what people on the internet say anyway. Yeah. It must be an interesting one for you because you're based on the Welsh border, obviously the team based in Gloucestershire. A long way to come over here to Kent. We know you like to go and visit local landmarks. We've seen you all different places around the country. Is there anywhere you've been over the summer to visit that maybe you want to tell us about?
Well, yeah, when I do get a bit of time off, I like to travel around a little bit. So I went over the holidays or in between Silverstone and this race. I went to Alton Towers with some friends and a night in London with my brother after Silverstone. So I loved London, awesome city, and Alton Towers was cool.
A lot of Australians in London, so there's a lot for you to maybe be used to and cater to. Alton Towers is good. You want to probably go to Thorpe Park if you're looking for a theme park around London after this weekend. Yeah. Donington Park, I guess you could just go into Nottingham and see what Nottingham has delights for you. I'm sure you'll enjoy investigating there. But look, we're here at Brands Hatch. What's achievable this weekend then? One podium, maybe two?
A podium's the goal. How many I get, I don't know. I'd like to get those podiums in the first 2 races, I guess the feature races you could call, and then the reverse grid, depending on qualifying, might get a reverse grid win, John.
Hey, look, let's see. We'll chat to you throughout the weekend, but best of luck to start off with.
Thank you very much.
Well, Harry, we're back here at Brands Hatch. Been a bit of a break since the last time out at Silverstone. How are you feeling? How's your summer been?
It's been a good summer. I'm feeling really confident this weekend, showing good pace in the start of session 3. So, I mean, it's something to look forward to, especially with a big track this weekend.
How much practice do you put in away from the track? Are you big on sim racing? Do you get behind a sim? Do you have regular conversations with your driver's coach? What do you do when we're not racing?
Well, I mean, if I go up to the sim up at Knockhill, because Graham and the team they've got a sim up there, so I go up and use theirs. So I've got Ricardo that helps me because he's an engineer, so he helps with setup, helps me with other stuff and just data. So.
We've seen some impressive performances from you this year, but not quite a podium yet. 4th place is the highest you've finished so far. We've got 6 races left this year. How close do you think you are, and do you think you can get at least one trophy this season?
I mean, it'd be nice to get a trophy this year, but it's just such a difficult year, especially my first year in cars. It's everything. I'm still learning, like everything, like the tracks and all that. So.
It's been a lot to learn, hasn't it? And especially when you have 2 or 3 dominant drivers, as we've seen in GB4 this year, it's hard for other drivers to get on the podium. When you look back at your first year in GB4, I mean, what are you going to say about it? How has it been for you? Have you enjoyed it? Has it been tough? What's the vibe?
I mean, it's been a good championship. The racing's really close this year. With the top 3 being so fast, it makes you a better driver trying to get to their paces and stuff. So, yeah, I think it's been a difficult year, but a good year.
Do you wish that maybe we got to Knock Hill a little bit closer to you?
Yeah, it'd be nice to home track, just not far away from home, so it'd be nice to do that.
Great to hear from Harry Burgoyne Jr. with Graham Brunton Racing. You can see his car behind, and also the car of Seb Murray as well, who's the new driver here in the GB4 Championship this weekend. Looking forward to getting out there for the first race, which is coming up really, really soon. Let's talk about qualifying, Piers, because Tom Mills is going for the championship, and really he's in the best position.
Dominated qualifying again, pole position for race 1. I think race 2 is still to be confirmed by TSL so far, and he'll be really happy with that. I caught up with him very, very briefly after qualifying. He couldn't do any more.
Yeah, well, let's see what happened when he just got out of the car after securing pole position in this first race.
Tom, great to catch you right after qualifying. A really good session for you. Pole for race 1 at least. You look hot but happy.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was a good session. It's really warm, so it's one of those sessions. We had a delay before, so we all sat there for ages, and you just really want to make sure you put the time on when you can. I did a cool down lap in the middle and went again, and the tyres were better for it. So yeah, it was a very good session.
Good position to hopefully get as close to winning the championship this weekend as you can.
Yeah, it's quite hard to overtake here, so qualifying is probably most important here than any track. So hopefully I get a good start, and if I'm at the front, it should be hard to overtake.
Brilliant. Well, we'll let you go. Well done.
Well, great that you managed to get in there just as he was hot and sweaty getting out of these cars. I mean, we are hot and sweaty here, 30 degrees there or thereabouts. Great to see Sebastian Murray, as I mentioned, on the grid. Also, Kai Darianani is just behind us driving for Evans GP, back on the grid as well. Nice to see him back. And of course, all the other drivers that we've heard from and will hear from this weekend. Thomas Lee's back here, the businessman turned racer. We've got to find out if he's been closing any deals or whatever it is he does in his business life that looks so cool on his Instagram. But for now, we've heard from the drivers, we've seen the track from the track guide, but let's see what it looks like as you drive a GB4 car around the track here at Brands Hatch.
Let's ride on board now with our double pole sitter, Tom Mills, around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Into Paddock Hill, downhill on entry, off Canberra through the middle, and then steeply downhill on the exit. The car bottoms out in the middle. It's all about setting up for Druids now, braking in a straight line, getting to the apex, and staying nice and narrow. And now a good exit. Watch the curb, track limits can come into play there. Graham Hill, the left-hander, nipping the apex, then on the exit, again watching out for track limits. We're now heading up to Surtees where we head out onto the Grand Prix loop. This corner is over 180 degrees. Steeply uphill on the exit. Watch out for the curb because it comes up quickly. Now the only point on the lap where we've got a chance to breathe, to pick our point and think about how we're going to take Hawthorns Bend. Steeply downhill through Pilgrim's Drop, and then we're going almost flat through Hawthorns. Just a lift and down change. Car wobbles on the apex. Again, watch out for the curb on the exit. It can drag you off the circuit. Now Westfield, fully committed, blind exit. One apex, watch out for the exit curve there. A bit of a wobble from Tom Mills, well caught. That would have been sketchy inside the car. Then again, another blind corner. Sheen, again a wobble on the car, right up to the white line and exit. The first left-hander in a while. Sterling's banked on the way in, flattens out on the way out. All the curb on the exit once again, fully committed on this lap. The final corner coming up. Clear ways. Again, over a crest through the middle of the corner. You can see the car moving around, but he's nailed it. And that is a flying lap around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit with current championship leader Tom Mills with a double pole position.
Well, we're here in the assembly area now. We're racer about to get started. The race that's on just before here at Brands Hatch is just getting going. Well, it's not a race, it's qualifying. Technical issue there. Piers, it's slightly cooler now than maybe when we were chatting to some of the drivers. It's not really going to affect much though, is it? Because the track temperature is still going to be really high and those tyres are still going to be really warm.
Yeah, it has cooled down. Not a huge amount. It's still pretty warm, as you can see the sheen on our faces. But no, the air temperature's gone down a little bit. The track temperature won't have changed a huge amount, other than the fact that the sun is getting a bit lower, so maybe some of the back section beginning to be out in the shade. But yeah, still not going to be an issue for any of the drivers to get the warmth in the tyres in the first couple of laps.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, you join the GB4 Championship, a lot of these drivers are coming into, you know, this category for the very, very first time. And for Tom Mills, who won both races back at Silverstone, the conditions there were so different to the conditions here with, you know, incredible amounts of rain there. It's actually such a great training ground as a driver to learn to drive in these conditions. I mean, some of the drivers that we've had from Scandinavia are maybe used to off-road driving, they're used to different conditions, but for a lot of the British drivers and certainly American drivers, they won't have driven in that kind of wet before. Yeah. To now come here to these conditions, to excel as well and get pole position as Tom Mills has, I mean, it just shows that how much he's come on since he joined GB4 last season.
Yeah, I think that we're quite lucky in England, the fact that a lot of the drivers get to experience so many conditions, because a lot of the drivers that drive in Europe, they don't often get maybe quite as much rain as we do here, but occasionally we get some hot days here as well. And the drivers in the GB4 Championship this year and any year will be aspiring for bigger and better things, maybe moving on to GB3 and then form FIA F3, F2, F1, sports cars, whatever. And you want to learn as much at this early stage of your career as you can, and GB4 is a great place to do that because, you know, as you mentioned, it's loads of different conditions, loads of some of the best circuits, and Tom Mills is doing that the best at the moment, double pole position.
It's really, really impressive for Tom Mills with KMR Sport. We have to just, if we just pan to the right here, we're just going to see probably my favourite part of the GB4 Championship, other than the racing and the cars, and that is the amazing, it's slightly to the left there, Ben, slightly to the left, there it is. Now we're talking. It's the Dylan Hodgkin Racing Golf Buggy. And we've talked about this before, but every time I see it, like the effort that they've put in there, and you know, it's a team of a lot of inexperienced mechanics and people involved, and they're learning on the job. You know, and we heard from Dylan Hodgkin a little bit earlier on, and you know, he's doing a fantastic job because, like, he's coming in and everyone around him are learning with him. And I guess as a driver, you know, you need the confidence of the team around, but you know, you kind of have to learn with them, and you have to put your trust in them, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
so
of course.
He's doing an exceptional job, I think,
yeah.
and certainly making progress. He said he was certainly making progress as the weekend goes on, as he learns the track and they learn about the car.
I think it's really good that, you know, that a small team like Dylan Hodgkin Racing can come out here and compete, because, you know, a lot of the other similar championships in sort of the F4 level, you know, there's no real entry point for a small family-run team to come in, but you know, this championship allows that, and Dylan's doing a great job as well, because he's learning in a single-seater, his first season single-seaters, but also the whole team are learning. You know, all, as you mentioned, a lot of the mechanics, and they're young people that want to get involved in motorsport, and the team is giving them an opportunity to get the experience they need to then move on to bigger and better things themselves in their own careers.
Yeah, well, we're trying to look around here to see if we can see any of the team principals. I'm not too far sure how far I can walk here, Piers. Can you see any team principals? We can see Ollie Dutton over there, number 62, the deputy boss, I guess, the team principal of Fortec. Should we try and walk over there?
Yeah, why not?
If we cut out, someone will tell me. And let's try not to get run over by one of his cars. Adi Kolkani here, number 15, just to our left, getting brought in. Got to be very, very careful here. We can see Jared Waberski of KMR Sport last season, now with Fortec in GB3, here to presumably support maybe his old teammate Tom Mills. Piers, do you want to have a quick word with Ollie Dutton?
Yeah, why not?
I'll let you run in there.
Let's see if Ollie will have a quick word with this. We haven't chatted to you for a while. Oh yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are things with the team?
Yeah, brilliant. Obviously, I'm fortunate to lose Ruhan. It's just a classic financial situation. He's working hard to get him back over here. So we're missing him at the moment, but you know, focusing on Colin and Addy. Unfortunate for Addy, had a little crash in quali, so didn't reflect the pace that we know he's got. And it was close to the front. You know, it was a couple of tenths here or there. We could have been on the front row. So I think Colin's quite confident. I think it's going to be juicy at the front, so we just got to get around it and get the race completed and come back with some points.
Juicy is a good word to describe it. I think I'll use that one in the comms box. But also, you know, you mentioned Addy had a small incident in quali.
Yeah.
The margins around here are so fine.
Yeah, it's Brand's GP. You know, it's one of the best circuits in the UK, and everyone's pushing it to the limit. And sometimes, you know, it's a learning championship. These kids, they push it a little bit too far. But that's what this is about. We're learning, and they grow from it. And hopefully, we bring the cars back in one piece at the end of this race.
Exactly, and just one quick word on Colin. He's normally been right to the front of the grid, a little bit further down than we've come to see. Yeah. He can move up though.
I think he can. You know, he's aggressive. He's got good racecraft. But it's just testament to the teams here. You know, they got the Evans GP guys and Fox that have come in and they're fast off the box straight away. So it's keeping us on our toes. It's keeping us focused. But no, we welcome it. And we'll see how this one plays out.
All good competition. Thanks for chatting to us, Ollie. Good luck to your drivers. John, it was interesting to hear that, you know, a lot of the drivers struggle financially to get to the grid, and we're missing Ruhan Alva this weekend. Hopefully he'll come back, but you know, the drivers that are here, they can mention that the margins are so fine.
They really, really are, and actually, sort of, you know, looking at Cooper Webster's a little bit further back, and he's in second place, and obviously, you know, Tom Mills could win the championship tomorrow. He's going to be a little bit frustrated that he's further back behind Liam McNeely because he'll want to be there challenging Tom Mills. I guess starting in 3rd place, isn't he? Yeah, so he'll be behind him on that side of the grid. So that's going to be good for him. I was going to go and have a chat with Kevin Mills. Do you think we've got time? We've got time to go over. Let's see if we can speak to Kevin Mills here from KMR Sport, because it's a really big deal to have your car on pole position after 2 great race wins. Kevin, just a very quick word. To have a car on pole position is a huge deal for the team, and obviously having such a great race weekend at Silverstone, it's great for Tom to be back on pole.
Yeah, I think last week on the Tuesday we were not the fastest. I think McNeely looked really good, and he looked good yesterday. So I didn't really expect us to be on pole, so it's a nice little bonus this morning.
Do you think we can see Tom win the championship this weekend? It's possible tomorrow?
Well, all of you boys are telling me it's possible. We're happy to win it at Donington. We don't need to win it this weekend. We'll go out there, and if we can win some races, then we might be able to win it this weekend. But it's it's not the main thing. If we can win it at Donington safely, that'll be okay as well.
Yeah, Jack Clifford also shown some good pace as well, a little bit further back, but he's shown some great improvements this season.
Yeah, I think Silverstone he turned the corner at Silverstone. And again, his test days have been good. Probably let himself down a little bit with track positioning this morning. Didn't give himself enough space in front and didn't get the peak of his tyre, so that's why he's down there. But he's good. He's definitely a top 4 or 5 man now. He's come on a long way.
Well, let's see if he can make up those places in the race. One final thing, we've seen Elite Motorsport have got a paddling pool out the back. Is KMR Sport got any way of keeping the drivers cool, or maybe the whole team?
Hopefully with champagne.
Okay, champagne, there we go. Kevin, thank you very much. Kevin Mills there from KMR Sport. I mean, champagne's going to be flowing as well. Maybe not for Tom Mills. I think Tom Mills is 19 now, so maybe, Tom Mills can have some. But you'll be very aware of drivers' ages here. Obviously, we have drivers...
Responsibly, of course.
Yeah, and obviously drivers coming in. Actually, Tom Mills was telling me, I think it's his birthday very, very soon, so he's 20 years old. I can't remember when it is. Maybe it's today. I can't remember. It's over this weekend or the next final weekend, perhaps. But yeah, drivers of all ages. When you see a driver, Piers, that comes into the championship at a younger age and is challenging, up at the front, like Colin Queen is one of the younger drivers, and he's been challenging all year. He's been one of the drivers that's been regularly getting podium positions against maybe the older drivers like Tom. It really is impressive to see, the teenagers really sticking it to the people who are in early 20s.
Well, this championship is designed for that. As we heard from Ollie Dutton a moment ago. He said this championship, it's a learning championship. It's a learning championship for the drivers, for the teams. They're trying their best to get as much information so that they can move up in their career, whether that be the same championship next year like Tom Mills, second-year driver. He's showing that experience and learning from last year is really being valuable this year, and he'll move on to bigger and better things. And then the drivers who are maybe not quite there this year will be hoping to be the person that is in Tom Mills' position next time round.
Yeah, speaking of slightly older drivers, we can see in the background Max Maserati's here. We're going to be bringing you a little bit of a track guide to Brands Hatch tomorrow. Now, we've done this at the last few race weekends. You and Max are going to go and have a little walk around the track a little bit later and point out, some of the nuances here in Kent, and which corner should people be looking out for? Which would you say as a driver is the toughest corner? Or let's make it a little bit easier for you. If you mess up a particular corner, which one ruins your lap?
To be honest, when you say a corner that stands out, so many stand out, but this one right here, Surtees, you can see that it's very, very steeply uphill on the exit and kind of banked, and the undulation and camber change to the corner makes it difficult. But the reason why corners like this are so important is because there's such a long straight afterwards. So if you make a mistake on one of these corners, for example Surtees here, it then obviously extrapolates down the straight, whereas maybe one of the corners around the back of the circuit, they come in quick succession, so you make a small mistake and you can then rectify it quite quickly.
Excellent stuff. Right, let's go for another walk. I can see more people we should speak to. I know that the inaugural GB4 Championship winner, Nicholas Taylor, is here somewhere. We've got Richard Randall, of course, from MSV, the people who put on this championship, but we won't grab him. I want to go and chat to Thomas Lee.
Let's do it.
Because Thomas Lee is one of the biggest characters on the grid. He flies back over every time from the Far East. He's got a business interest out there. It's the first time we've spoken this weekend, Thomas. How are you feeling? You jet lagged at all?
I'm actually very jet lagged. I actually took like a 20-minute nap before the race won, so yeah, it was good. It feels a lot better now.
How are the temperatures and humidity comparing here to back home?
Well, honestly, Taiwan is actually really humid. Yeah, it's actually more humid than the UK, I'd say. But I mean, I kind of got used to the heat, so it's not like a big surprise, but I feel like just the jet lag's in the way, so yeah.
We always ask you how much prep time you put in, because we always talk about, you know, how busy you are with your business interests and how you come over here and race in GB4. I mean, how much are we talking? I remember at Donington there was probably about half an hour in the sim, which I don't think was quite enough.
Yeah, well, honestly, I actually put a little bit more time on doing the simulator for Brands Hatch, but I'd say that because the system is still not set up correctly, so I didn't really have the proper time of practicing, you know. But I have to say that, yeah, it's actually really tough for me because, you know, yesterday we did the Indy, and then today kind of just went straight to the qualifying, right? So it's very tough, and for me it's very unfamiliar. So yeah,
it's like a whole other half of a track that you've got to learn very, very quickly. Look, best of luck this weekend, and we'll catch up with you hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Go, Thomas Lee with Evans GP, always impressing and always with a smile on his face. In fact, let's speak to Nida as well. You work alongside Thomas, and you know you've been a huge character that we've spoken to before. How are things going in the team this weekend? Dealing with the heat, all right?
Yes, I've been dealing with the heat all right, and I'm sure everyone else at the Evans GP team has. On our side, we've been pretty busy. We've also launched a GT team in partnership with Dan Wells, DW Evans GT, which is a very exciting project happening in Asia. So lots to do, lots of travel, and most importantly, lots of fun. We're all really looking forward to the first race, and we can't wait to see what it holds for us.
Excellent, and obviously, you know, I know that you're working with Thomas here, but you know, you also have Cooper Webster, who's up there challenging for the title. A little bit tricky for him, a little bit further back. Is he in good spirits? We've not managed to grab him just yet.
I think Cooper's in fantastic spirits. He's obviously really looking forward to taking on the GP circuit again, and he's looking forward to fighting for that championship and, you know, scoring as many points as possible.
Excellent stuff. We'll let you continue keeping Thomas Lee cool. Nida, thank you very much. Nida there from Evans GP, who we've chatted to before, and actually a huge character, and always great to catch up with people around the paddock. Have you seen our inaugural champion anywhere, Piers?
Our inaugural champion? No, I have not. Oh, there he is, Nick Taylor, sitting on the wheel of Addy's car.
Do you think we can go and get a word?
Why not? Let's go chat to him.
Let's go. You see if you can get a word with him. Let's find out.
Of course, we'll see if we can. No, he's busy doing his job. Tell you who we could grab a word with. Zach Ping would be interested to chat to.
Okay.
Because of course he was here testing a week or so ago and had a couple of big crashes in testing, but they're now third on the grid.
Yeah, I think you should have a word with him, Piers, and I think you should ask him how the golf went yesterday.
Okay.
I've heard a little
Zach,
story.
Would you like to have a quick word? Zach, you were a couple of weeks ago we were testing here, and I heard you had a couple of shunts, but it clearly didn't put you off. Third in qualifying, a great result.
Yeah, you know, this track is something I've never seen before, but yeah, I kind of put that in the back of my head, forgot about it, and ready to go today.
And where do you think you can get in this race? Can you go forward from here?
Yeah, that's obviously the goal. You know, you always want to go forwards, but at the end of the day, I think we've made a big step forward from Silverstone, and we're just going to keep going, and hopefully we can achieve more than this today.
Brilliant. Thanks for chatting to us, Zach. Good luck in the race. Interested to hear from Zach there, because of course he's not done the whole season this year. VRD are a new team as well, but clearly they've got the thing dialed in because they were right there in quali.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've seen what they've done in GB3, and they've made huge advances there. So to come into GB4 and impress straight away is really, really impressive. Now, the cars are still out on track at the moment. I think there's about a minute left in that session there. Let's walk over. There's a couple of younger ladies here who are here supporting drivers. Whether or not they'll talk to me, we'll find out, yeah? Okay, let's go. Now, I think they have a link maybe to a couple of drivers, but I'll let them say that. I'm not going to drop any bombshells. Hello, Casey and Leo. Who are you supporting?
Well, I'm supporting Tom Mills and the Fortec lot as well.
Fortec Gilet on there. How did you get your hands on that?
Nicholas Taylor, GB4 champion, by the way, last year. Just letting you all know.
Yeah, I mean, we just tried to talk to him, but he was a little bit too busy here. But he's given you this. Is this like just to keep warm in this heat? Because it's pretty warm for a gilet.
You've got to keep nice and warm whilst here. But no, I kind of took it against his will, to be fair. But it's mine now, don't worry.
Okay, supporting Tom Mills, stealing merchandise, our inaugural GB4 champion at Fortec. Lily, who are you supporting?
Tom Mills.
You can look at the camera.
Yeah, Tom Mills, yeah.
And you're supporting Tom Mills. Okay, do you think he can win the championship this weekend?
Yeah, 100%.
How do you think Tom will celebrate if he wins the championship? I mean, his dad has suggested champagne. I'm thinking maybe a cheeky Wagamama or something like that. That's a bit more Tom, isn't it?
Probably a Nando's, but he doesn't drink, so Nando's no water for him.
Okay, well, I'm sure he's got like a red meal deal or whatever, a red chili that he can spend on everyone to celebrate. Thank you very much for chatting to us. Let's see. Who else can we find? I mean, we've got marshals around here, Piers. Marshals. Let's have a word for the marshals. They do an exceptional job, don't they?
Of course, the marshals, we couldn't go racing without them. A lot of them are voluntary. And I think we're getting ready to go sometime soon. But yeah, without the marshals, the Orange Army couldn't go racing, and they're going to do an amazing job to organise and keep the drivers and everyone safe.
They do. Do you reckon one will talk to me, or are they a bit too busy? I mean, you're a driver, you'll know whether I shouldn't be talking to them right now.
Go for it.
Yeah? Who looks like the friendliest marshal? Who's the friendliest marshal? Who would like to talk to me? What's your name, madam?
Janice.
Janice, and what's your specific role as a marshal here today?
Well, I'm assembly area marshal, so we get the cars ready to go out to race, so make sure that everything's all right.
So you've got to make sure all the drivers are in their places. You've got
places to go out on the grid, yeah, to make sure obviously when they go out helmets are on and seat belts and everything. So
amazing. How long have you been a marshal?
About 20 odd years.
And you still love it, so you keep coming back?
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much for chatting to me. I appreciate all the hard. What's your name, sir?
I'm Stuart.
And are you the same? Are you in the same area here? I mean, you're holding hands, assuming you're better, more than just friends.
Yeah, we are more than just friends. We are together. This is how we met, actually. So
really, a martial love story?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, did you wave at each other across the assembly area? How did it happen?
Well, kind of. So yeah, I used to recovery. Got a recovery truck over there. I used to be in that. I still get involved with recovery, and then the recovery company changed. I left the job I was doing and ended up doing something else. And then I'll come down here start marshalling. So I've just got my upgrade. So
wow.
I've got one now. So.
And you just sort of come to work together and that's it?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
How did you get into being marshals then?
Well, for myself, as I say, because I was doing the company I was working for at the time, I was on recovery, and then Janice got through via somebody who she was with at the time back in many years ago.
And people can volunteer, can't they, to become marshals?
Yeah, Motorsport UK. Just go on their website. So
Taster days.
Are you based here at Brands Hatch? Because I see there's a fella, right? I don't think you'll mind me saying, he looks like Stiller. He's a very see him at pretty much every different racetrack around here, so it's not just the one he does, but you can do all of them.
Yeah, you can travel about the country, you can travel about the world if you want.
Really?
So yeah,
Australian Grand Prix, an American Grand Prix. I've done Le Mans. I've done 24 at the Nürburgring. I've done loads. So yeah, you can just volunteer and try for it. So.
Incredible, but obviously the GB4 Championship is both of your favourites, right?
Indeed, of course. Yes. Nothing better.
Excellent. Thank you very much for chatting to me. Continue doing your work. Sorry for distracting people there. I hope that I won't get in trouble for that, will I?
No, you'll be fine.
Okay, just checking. I think we're almost ready to go now. Obviously, we can see all the cars out here ready. When you're a driver sat here and there's a little bit of a delay like this, especially with the heat, although we are getting a little bit of a breeze now, which might affect things. Yeah, I can see.
So nice.
You can't physically see the sweat on our faces anymore. It's still there, but you just can't see it. Don't lick that. How will it affect you as a driver sitting there? Bearing in mind a lot of these drivers are quite inexperienced in these types of cars. Is it a little bit of a concern for maybe team principals?
It's something for the drivers to get used to, because no matter what they do as their career goes forward, there'll be stoppages, there'll be pauses. The drivers will be sitting in the cars being really quite warm because they've driven up to the grid now ready to go. And when you're sat stationary, the heat from the engine, the gearbox, the radiators, which are all around you, kind of seeps into the cockpit. And it is so nice when you drive out onto the circuit and the breeze hits you. It's like literally like air conditioning has been turned on. Of course, these cars have no air conditioning whatsoever. But yeah, just being able to focus, use this to, either take a minute, relax, and then refocus if you've got a stoppage. Sometimes we see that in red flags, but it's something that all the drivers have to learn and will use in their future career.
Something else that I saw actually on a previous race weekend on the YouTube channel, which you might be watching on now in the chat, someone was asking whether these cars have team radios. So if you're out there as a driver, especially when there's a safety car and things like that, can the team talk to you? And that's not the case in these championships.
No, GB4 and GB3, there is no ship-to-shore radio, and so you can't, the teams can't talk to the drivers and drivers can't talk back. The only communication from the pit wall to the drivers is via the pit wall, via pit boards. The rest is up to the driver. You're kind of out there alone. A lot of drivers like that. Some drivers would prefer a bit of to and fro. And again, it's sort of almost, you're out there on your own and you're learning everything and you have to make decisions for yourself. And then as the championships move on and you go higher and higher, pit to driver radio start coming in. So that's, almost drip feeding information to the drivers. But you're very much out there alone, which is kind of a nice feeling, but also sometimes if things get a bit sketchy, it's going to be, you'd rather have a bit of a word in your ear.
I was going to say, when I play the F1 game, it does annoy me a little bit when that fella starts chatting. And recently I went to a karting event and I met this guy and he said, I'm an actor. And I said, oh, who do you play? What's your best role? He plays the guy that does the radio things.
Really?
On the game. Yeah, just a little weird thing there. Doesn't look how you'd imagine him at all. But I told him I find him annoying. Anyway, what I wanted to say
I'm sure you did.
Yes, when the drivers, obviously, we try and chat to the drivers after the race. Some of them go straight into race briefings. But also, before the race, you will have meetings as drivers to make sure you know what you're doing out there. Because, if something does change in the race, like there's a safety car, not many racing laps. Obviously you need to know different strategies, right?
Yeah, we'll need to move out of the way because I think the cars are going, but it's very much planning up for the races starts a couple of weeks before, let alone on the day. So, you know, these drivers will be thinking about tyre strategy, how to drive the race, how they're going to drive the different parts of the circuit, where they're going to have to take where they can't from weeks in advance. So, you know, it's not just a weekend job for these guys. It's professional teams, professional drivers. They take it seriously and a lot of preparation goes into it.
They do indeed. Well, look, as you can see behind us now, all the cars are going out to the grid. It's the first race of the weekend in the GB4 Championship. Piers is going to run and join Lewis McGlade on commentary. Let's go racing for the first time this weekend here at Brands Hatch in the GB4 Championship.
So there's just 6 races left to go in the 2023 GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. The road to the championship begins really now. We'll see if Tom Mills can take top honours. Of course, he could be on a championship winning weekend now. What's he have to do so? Well, he's got to outscore the driver that currently sits second in the championship, that of Cooper Webster, by 7 points. If he leaves Brands Hatch with 105 points going into the season finale at Donington Park, he will be crowned our champion. The pressure will be removed from his shoulders and he can just keep his eyes focused. He knows how strong he is. He knows the position he is in the championship. He knows what he has to do. I was having a chat with all that lot down there at KMR Sport earlier on today, and basically they're saying, don't talk to Tom about the championship. Just talk to him as if it's a normal race weekend. Let him just breathe. Let him figure it out. We'll take a look at the starting grid as we can see Tom Mills starts from pole position, along with Liam McNeely on that front row, putting some fantastic laps late on. Zach Ping returning to the championship for his second weekend, put in a fantastic lap in qualifying to put himself third. Cooper Webster just fourth. Colin Queen in fifth position in a tight battle for third in the championship. Josh Irfan on his return for Elite Motorsports will start from sixth. Behind all of that, it's Jack Clifford starting from 7th position for the KMR Sport team, aiming for a couple of podiums this weekend. Harry Burgoyne Jr. form just 8th for the GBR Racing team. Sid Smith, a bit disappointed with his qualifying, just 9th. Aditya Kulkarni having a crash late on in the qualifying session. He will start this one for 10th position for the Fortec Motorsports team. Behind that, Kai Derianani and then Sebastian Murray, of course, making his debut in the championship, saying he's never raced a circuit before, but he's enjoying it nonetheless. Dylan Hodgson in 13th position with Thomas Lee rounding out the grid in 14th position for the Evans Grand Prix team. So that's the story. Just 6 races left to go. Some big stories still to be made. Our champion still to be crowned. A battle for third in the championship that still remains extremely tight between Liam McNeely and Colin Queen. Just 5 points separating the pair of those. Of course, Colin Queen being coached by last season's champion. And we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen in that. We'll have to wait and see if this driver can steal the championship a few days early. He can technically do it as early as tomorrow morning, but you would have to have a 140-point lead. So he might need a bit of luck in all of that. And yes, we will keep you apprised to all of the points as the championship unfolds as we head into this penultimate weekend. I mean, my big story for this is what can Zach Ping do? Starting this race from that third position, had a bit of a tumultuous time in Silverstone a few weeks ago before the summer break, finished in 10th position and then retired from the second race. Of course, the third race was a no-go for anyone. And you can see there, if you were watching the GB3 coverage earlier on, the track temperature and the temperature generally has cooled down slightly, only by a degree, but the wind has picked up nicely. We get ourselves ready as the 5-second ball goes up into the air. Tom Mills taking control from pole position. Liam McNeely alongside in the front front row. Ping and Webster behind. It's a slow start from Zach Ping, though, as we head our way down to the first corner. It's a great start for our championship leader. There is a staller in the background, unfortunately. I think that one might be Sebastian Murray. Archin potentially as well, as they head their way through the first corner. Tom Mills with a great start as they head their way through, but Zach Ping, Piers, has dropped backwards from third.
Yeah, not a strong start for Zach Ping, not the start he would have wanted after such a strong qualifying. Colin Queen having a look up the inside of Cooper Webster, not getting it done that time, but a perfect start for our pole sitter, as that's a car trying to make it 3 wide.
Yeah, Darian Arney getting down the inside, trying to work his way up the order. It's all looking a little bit sketchy and all of that, and unfortunately Kilcarney's one dropping back down the order ever so slightly in that tight battle with Sid Smith for the Fox Motorsports car. Of course, the green highlights on his car. There could be a bit of 3 wide here. Evans Grand Prix looking all over the side, trying to get his way past Kilcarney. Doesn't do so on this occasion.
No, good defensive driving from Kilcarney. Just carried a bit of extra speed around the outside into Hawthorns and got the move done. Darian Arney didn't understeer into him, so good driving. It's been a frenetic first half of the lap. Everything's slightly settling down now.
Well, there is going to be a lot of battling in this race. We said this before, we were racing here in GB4 and GB3 last year. The GB3 cars struggle a little bit around here. There's a couple of drivers going a little bit wide at the penultimate corner, dipping 2 wheels into the dirt on the exit of Stirling's. That realistically, the GB3 cars struggle a little bit when it comes to racing around here. The GB4 cars certainly less so. They're a lot smaller, the power's a lot less, just 160 brake horsepower going to the rear wheels as opposed to the more than 200, nearly 250 in the GB3 cars. There's a big move down the inside from Sid Smith. That's a lovely one.
Yeah, it's a great move. One of the main overtaking opportunities on the circuit is into Paddock Hill. It kind of curves before you have to fully turn in, so you can straight line the braking and brake a bit later, but a textbook move there from Sid Smith. His teammate Liam McNeely had a great start, and now he's in second place. Liam McNeely is showing very, very consistent pace the second half of this year. Not only sort of outdone by our championship leader and champion in waiting, Tom Mills.
And we've said before, when it comes to what Tom Mills requires to do to win this championship, he needs to outscore Cooper Webster by 7 points this weekend. If he does so, he wins the championship. Well, at the moment, if you finish in first place, it's 35 points. If you finish in third, which is where Cooper Webster is in the race, you score 24 points. Thus, he'd be outscoring him in this race by 11. That does not mean he's the champion now. He has to do it and hold that advantage across the weekend. It's about how he finishes the weekend, but he is moving one step closer as Tom Mills to crowning himself far earlier than maybe even he was expecting at the start of the season.
Yes, I don't think even in his wildest dreams he could have imagined going into the Brands race weekend thinking I could potentially win it even before the weekend's done. But saying that, the pace of Tom Mills is great, but Liam McNeely's definitely closing that gap. Let's have a look at the lap times as they come over the line. Yes, very much so, 3/10 faster. Oh, that is wide. Kilcarney went wide at the last corner.
We were both looking at live timing during that, but yeah, Kilcarney having a couple of issues going through that final corner. Of course, remember, I've said it before and I'll say it again, he had an incident in qualifying going through the first corner and into the barrier heat. When they were able to repair the car and he's able to get back out racing. I do want to ask a quick question, because obviously, you know, we've all had it where we've been driving down the motorway and you're thinking, God, that sun is really right in my eyes. Because of the undulation around here, there's a lot of places around this circuit where it is right in your eyes. What can you do about it in a car? You can't just pull down the sun visor.
No, there is no sun visor, as you can see, Lewis. But no, the going down that straight in towards Surtees there is probably one of the main places where the sun can get in your eyes. You'll notice a lot of the drivers having tinted visor on. We're looking at Harry Burgoyne Jr. there, had a blue tinted visor, blue mirrored visor. That acts like sunglasses, which is good. But also they'll have a visor strip, which is basically a sticker that goes across the top. Oh, Liam McNeely running wide on Westfield. Wow.
He's pushing hard. You can tell he's pushing hard. I mean, you can tell by the lap times. He's done a 25.2 there, closed in 0.3 of a second over the previous lap. You were saying about how much faster he was looking.
Yeah.
He's looking faster on the second lap of this race as well, as he begins to close even further onto the rear end. Should be roughly 10 laps of racing around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. It's going to be quite tight with the time, but we'll see. I think McNeely's looking really strong right now.
Yeah, he is potentially pushing the tyres a bit harder at this stage of the race than Tom Mills. Tom Mills probably thinks he's got the pace in the bag. You know, he was fastest in quali. He's been one of the fastest, if not the fastest, in pretty much every practice session as well. So potentially he's just thinking, you know what, I've got some pace. Let's just let the race come to me. I'll make sure that my tyres are good for the end. But at the same time, he's giving McNeely a sniff of hope. And as a driver at this, you know, the front of the field, often you just want to, you know, wear down your competitors mentally at the start of the race, because then they think that maybe we won't be able to catch you.
Yeah, I mean, Potentially so. I've got to say, once again, there is a little bit of closing up from McNeely in that first sector. Previous laps, he was about half a tenth faster, so closing in just a little bit was McNeely. Half a second separating first and second. It goes out to 1.6 seconds back to Cooper Webster, then Colin Queen, Zach Ping, Irfan Clifford, Smith, Burgoyne Jr. and Durianani inside the top 10. Kulkarni. Murray, after that stall at the start of the race, as you can see, is starting to work his way back up the order, but only bit by bit. He's worked his way past Dylan Hodgson and Thomas Lee and sits 7 seconds off the back of Kulkarni.
Yeah, he's doing well. It's good to see a new driver on the grid in Murray. He's joined the GB4 team, which is good to see as well, because now Harry Burgoyne Jr. will have a teammate, and it's always useful as a driver to have a teammate so you can compare and find out where your strengths and weaknesses are over a circuit, over a weekend.
Yeah, of course, Dylan Hodgson did have a brief teammate in Jeremy Fairbairn, but yeah, realistically, he's not really had too much team. He's been doing all the work by himself. Once again, McNeely is closing in. It was, by quite a bit on the first lap, towards the end of the first lap. It was by a little bit on the previous lap. It was by over a tenth, about 10.5 of a second on the previous lap. Again, really putting the pressure on is McNeely.
Yeah, down to less than 0.4 of a second over the line, which is beginning to get in the zone where Tom Mills will not be so comfortable with the gap, because once you get to below about 0.3, the opportunity for an overtake is definitely there. Or alternatively, Tom Mills now knows he hasn't got the space to even make a small mistake, because he knows that any tiny error will be capitalised on by Liam McNeely. And Tom Mills wants to win as many races as he can, of course, because the more races he wins, the higher his stock, and therefore the better opportunities he might get for next year. Who knows?
Well, I mean, it kind of actually takes me a little bit back to last year, and something that Liam McNeely might do might be akin to what we saw from Jared Waberski, which was basically, oh, goodness me, Sid Smith going out a little bit wide, getting pulled onto that curve on the exit of Westfield Bend. It's so easy to do. You're so high commitment through there, just running out wide. What I was going to say was Waberski kind of came out of nowhere to take second position off of Max Maserati. I wonder, we were all talking about Maserati in a championship battle, ended up finishing in third in the title race. Maybe McNeely has that over Webster. Maybe he might be able to close it. I think this is the weekend where you've got to take advantage, because Webster, as far as I'm aware, when they did that test session, was it earlier on in the week, last week, when they did the test session and did the full Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, Webster wasn't there for that.
Yeah, of course, and especially on a circuit like Brands Grand Prix, I'd put maybe Alton Park in there as well. Circuits, old school circuits with a lot of blind corners that have very little runoff, little margin for error, are circuits where confidence really gives you lap times. And that's one thing, even when I raced in 2020, I was never quite as close to the pace at Brands as I was at other circuits, because I just hadn't had the time going round, because you need to know that if you turn in with only just a dab of the brake or without braking, that you're going to make it round, and you can kind of creep up. You have to creep up to it. Whereas circuits like potentially Donington or Silverstone especially, you can pretty much go straight to the limit of grip, and if you make a mistake, you go, okay, well, next time I just need to turn a bit earlier or a bit later. Can't do that around here.
No, certainly not. We're about halfway through the race, 5 laps down once they come across the line this time by, so plenty more left on the clock, roughly 5 or 6 left to go, depending on where they fall on the timing. And once again, that number 48, the Fox Motorsports car of Liam McNeely, is closing in. The previous lap of the race, Tom Mills was able to pull one out. Zach Ping has had a bit of an issue. That is so easy to do, coming through Sheen. Don't go forwards just yet, as that will be Murray making his way through. He'll get himself back going again. Dylan Hodgson will be the next one to come through. But that's a big shame for Zach Ping, who's looked so fast.
Yeah, you could see there he just dropped a wheel onto the grass on the exit of Sheen, which is so easily done with the circuit kind of going over a crest there. But yeah, he's unfortunately stopped on the circuit. That's undone all the hard work he did in the race. And not a great start and then a small mistake. He'll still take the positives, the fact that he knew he had the pace in qualifying. He's come back from those issues that he had in testing, where he had a couple of spins and offs and caused some damage to the car. But unfortunately, in this one, all things have not gone to plan.
How much do you think Cooper Webster's learning in this race right now? Is he trying to find the limit now? Normally, because obviously everyone else, they found the limit in practice. Do you think he's trying to find the limit now? Because, I mean, his lap time's actually quite good. He just went fast from the previous lap. Then Tom Mills will come back to that in a second, though, because there is this. Derrien Arney going on the attack of Harry Burgoyne Jr. Coming up towards Hawthorns. Derrien Arney, of course, in the Evans Grand Prix, that number 8, the black and blue car. Harry Burgoyne Jr. in the distinctive red, white and yellow highlighted Graham Brunton racing car. Yeah, you can see that Derrien Arney clearly putting the pressure on. He feels pretty confident in that car by the looks of it. He's hustling it. You can see it bubbling around. He's using all of the road on the entry and the exit, which is, you know, indicative of a driver that feels comfortable with what they've got underneath them. And clearly that Evans GP car is feeling pretty good. I'm sure the setup between him and himself and Webster will be fairly similar. And Webster, you were about to say at the moment, well, you were about to say a moment ago, he's right there on the, with the times, but he's actually just set the fastest lap of the race, a 25.03, half a tenth faster than our race leader, which was Tom Mills. Yeah, and the important thing from all of that is that Liam McNeely actually has started dropping off the back of Tom Mills. You can see there on the right-hand side of the leaderboard, those are the previous lap times of what's just been set. So Tom Mills with a 25.0, McNeely with a 25.3, so losing out 0.3 of a second there basically as he drops his way down maybe into the clutches of Cooper Webster. That tells me that he was pushing very hard early doors and potentially too hard, as you were saying. Yeah, I thought that might be the case. You never know whether if someone is pushing right to the limit or saving the tyres. It did have the hallmark of Tom Mills just saving his tyres a little bit. Of course, that second year experience, also the fact that he's just got a bit more, you know, experience as a person. You know, he's what, nearly 20 years old, and Liam McNeely, whoa, he's going fully sideways through Sheen, clearly not lacking any commitment, but he's a younger driver who's still learning a lot more about racing, and also, you know, has less life experience as well. So maybe he'll be learning off Tom even in this race. Yeah. And let's see, Cooper Webster's closing in, and I think closing in quite fast. It could well be another fastest lap from Cooper Webster. He's gone purple in the first sector, purple in the second sector. He is putting in an absolutely blistering lap time here around Brands Hatch GP. It's a 24.970 for Tom Mills. That was the fastest lap for all of about 2 seconds until Cooper Webster came across the line and set that 24.902. The 37 Evans Grand Prix car is flying right now as we head into the final third of the race. Yeah, pushing hard, clearly learning as much as he can. He knows he can afford to push as well, because Colin Queen is down about 4 or 5 seconds behind him in fourth place. He can see in his mirrors, no one directly behind, so even if he makes a small error, it's not going to be you know, catastrophic to his podium chances, unless he throws it off completely, which I'm sure he won't. Touch wood, don't want to commentator's curse him. There's no such thing as a commentator's curse, there's only bad driving and bad luck. Been through this. Right, and poor timing with the commentator. Coincidence. You know, I'm inclined to believe you with that, Lewis. I don't believe in the commentator's curse. But there we go, at the battle for second place at the bottom of the screen, McNeely versus Webster. Those last lap times, Webster's definitely closing in. Yeah, certainly so. Like I say, getting quite aggressive, and you know, like I say, if he makes this move, if Cooper Webster is able to get past McNeely and take over second position, then the points gap between Webster and Mills would only be 6 points for this round. Obviously, again, we need it to be a 7-point extra advantage this round of Tom Mills. Again, we're going to discuss it more later on, because in this race, Tom Mills cannot actually win the championship, but it's one of those interesting things to follow in all of this. They cross the line once again, and Tom Mills continues to lead 1.4 seconds over Liam McNeely. Cooper Webster's dropped back a little bit on the previous lap. It was back 0.3 of a second back from McNeely after losing time in that first sector. Middle sector, yeah, middle sector. You must have made a mistake. Yes, it's okay, Lewis. It's all right. I'll forgive you. I'm sure the listeners at home will as well. But yeah, the front two are 37.7 and a 37.8 in the middle sector. Cooper Webster clearly pushing hard, a 38.1, so lost about 3 or 4 tenths in that middle sector. But as I mentioned, you know, he can afford to push on a little bit, push the limits of the car, because he'll want to feel what the car's like right on the limit of grip, so he can go back to the Evans Grand Prix team and say, hey guys, you know, I was pushing the car hard, it was doing this at the start, this in the middle, this at the end. Whereas if you sort of ease off, you never got quite that sort of torque and feedback from the car that you need, because he'll be hoping to potentially take a win in race 2 or even come through the field and get as many points as he can in race 3, because don't forget, he is still well in a championship fight for second place, along with this man, Liam McNeely, and also Colin Queen as an outside chance as well. Yeah, exactly, and you want to finish in second in the championship. You can't win it if that's already sailed down the road. then you'll want to take the runner-up position. There's still plenty of credit which you kind of take into future championships. Second is more important than third. It is kind of it, and there are prizes different for it, all that kind of like as well. And also, it's just an extra position to fight for in the championship. You want to finish as high as you can. If Tom Mills has sailed down the road, yeah, sure, but he's a second-year driver. He's the only second-year driver. You want to be the winner of those that are doing their rookie year in GB4.
Yeah. You definitely want to be the best rookie if you are a rookie, because it shows that you've done basically the best of the drivers that have an equivalent amount of experience. But looking back at the lap times, actually we mentioned that Liam McNeely potentially burned his tyres up, but actually he's set his personal best lap of the race when the drivers around him haven't. So clearly he's taken a bit of a break on those and got pushed again, and it's going well for you.
Sid Smith's going to gain an extra position. That is because Jack Clifford has just received a 5-second time penalty for track limits. He had a hilarious interview with Jonas in the pre-show where Jack Clifford was basically saying, yeah, I've been a bit of a naughty boy with track limits, etc, etc, etc. Well, guess what? He's been a naughty boy with track limits, picking up that 5-second penalty. You get warnings and such from it, but this is, whilst it's a narrow circuit, whilst it's a tight circuit, it's a difficult circuit, it is, I'd argue, it's one of the easiest, if not potentially the easiest, when you consider the exit of Paddock Hill, the exit of Graham Hill bend as well. And, to be fair, Westfield, although I really wouldn't want to put two wheels out there, no thanks. It's really Graham Hill bend, the one that catches people out, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's, Paddock Hill, you can run a bit wide in the exit and you can pick up a track limits penalty or a warning. Same with Graham Hill. The second and third sectors, no chance. Basically, if you're leaving the circuit, you're not gaining an advantage, that's for sure, because you're going to be on a one-way ticket to the Big Bazza. But the exit of Graham Hill Bend, because the circuit is downhill, it's quite a tricky entry, and then it's still off camber towards the exit. It really, this corner here that you're looking at Liam McNeely going through, it really forces you out wide and pushes you, or tries to push you onto the exit of the circuit. And of course, as we know, the Motorsport UK regulations, your tyres must stay within the extremities of the curbs, and it's so easy to just drop a wheel on the exit there off the back of the curb. And then there's a sensor there, and also the marshals that will then relay if you've done that to the stewards and the clerk of the course, and then they'll issue the penalty. So that's what Jack Clifford unfortunately has done in this race, and he'll be hopefully learning from his mistakes in race 2 and 3.
Yeah, I was thinking of my track limit excursions from the world of touring car sim racing stuff, where you can kind of get away with that stuff because it's not reality at the end of the day. Although I have visited Big Bad Bazza quite a few times when it comes to racing around Brands Hatch. Why one of my weaker circuits, to be perfectly honest, even in the world of sim racing. Well, we can see once again Cooper Webster with that fast lap, but if you look at those lap times, those are the previous lap times, you can see that Mills is actually starting to pull away as we head onto the final lap of the race. There's still battles further down the order. Jack Clifford, whilst he may have a 5-second post-race time penalty, he's still going to try and go on the attack here of Josh Erford and get himself at least inside the top 5 to finish over the line in that position. Maybe he doesn't know about the penalty, he's just going on the attack. If not, he's just out for a bit of banter.
Oh, he was right on the edge of the track there. If any wider on the exit of Clearways there, he would have been in the gravel. But yeah, he's still pushing on, clearly trying to push on as much as he can. If he feels like he can gain a bit of a time over Josh Erfan, then he will, because that'll help his chances of potentially leapfrogging Sid Smith after the penalty. But also, don't forget, this is Jack Clifford's first season in the UK racing. It's his first season in GB4 there, of course. He will be trying to learn as much as possible about the circuit, the cars and everything, because he'll be hoping to maybe come back next year and do what Tom Mills has done with that same team. So if he can try and effect an overtake on Josh Erfan, that will be information that he can then use and think, right, next year, if he's in a similar position, he can then call upon that experience and use it again.
And I will say, as much as I've been saying about Jack Clifford having a 5-second time penalty, 10 seconds. Oh, he's been a bit of a naughty boy, and there is Tom Mills just showing off a little bit, to be honest, going into Sheena. There's a bit of a slide there, that's risky. Obviously got a bit of lap traffic up ahead that he'll navigate coming around into the final sector. I hate using this word, but I think it is the occasion to use it now. He'll try and navigate Thomas Lee, and he is the winningest driver in GB4, and he will add to that as well. It's his 9th win of the season, his 11th overall, and now he ties the record that Nicholas Taylor set last year at 9 wins in the season, with plenty left to go. McNeely in second behind, Cooper Webster comes across the line in third. The gap difference is 11 in advantage to Tom Mills. We'll see some of those others crossing the line, but how many more fantastic words, how fantastic drives can we see from Tom Mills? That was well measured in tricky, hot conditions.
Telling that Tom Mills has won as many races as our previous season champion Nicholas Taylor, and we've still got 2 races this weekend and then one more whole race weekend. So Tom Mills, another race win. I think it's almost inevitable that he's going to win another one this weekend and potentially maybe even at the final race of the round of this season as well. But a great drive. He did everything he needed to, soaked up the pressure a little bit from Liam McNeely at the start of the race, and here's Zach Ping trying to get one more position on Dylan Hodgson, not quite managing to do that, but a great drive from Tom Mills. Liam McNeely will probably be pretty happy with that in second place, and Cooper Webster, fast lap of the race in the end, so clearly close enough if he can get the a good start away from the line tomorrow.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, it's been absolutely fantastic. Again, just taking a look at some of those results. Brilliant to see the likes of Mills and McNeely up there again. A big shame for Zach Ping. I'll give a bit of a shout out to him. Just 13th on the road, sadly. Just not quite what he was expecting from that race after starting this one right the way up the order. Just not quite enough. Obviously had that spin going through Sheen. There is Tom Mills out of the car, and once again celebrating for the 9th time this season a victory. Almost bored of seeing it. I mean, no, we are bored of seeing. No, I'm joking. Of course, it just shows how fantastic he's been, how consistent he's been. In the other races where he's not won, he's finished 6th, he's finished 4th, he's finished 3rd twice, and 2nd twice, and he just keeps adding these massive results to his portfolio, showing how strong of a driver he is. Wonder where we'll see him in future. Maybe it'll be in GB3. Hopefully it'll be in GB3. I can't wait to see what would happen on that occasion if we were able to see him taking part at basically the highest level of open wheel competition in the United Kingdom, if he is to move up into the GB3 Championship partnered by the BRDC. There is Cooper Webster out of the car. I think he'll still be fairly pleased considering the comparative lack of testing when it comes to around here. He wasn't able to take part in the test earlier on where they went racing, or went testing rather around the Grand Prix loop. Again, the certain restrictions that Brands Hatch has when it comes to the housing and stuff in the area, the noise restrictions around here means they don't get to go and do the Grand Prix loop too many times. Anyway, we'll head down to Jonas because he wants to catch up with our podium finishers.
Thank you very much, Lewis. As you can see, Tom Mills here just chatting with Kevin and his mechanic. How you doing, Tom? So, I mean, you've won the last 3 races now in the GB4 Championship, but this was a win in completely different conditions to the last 2 at Silverstone.
Yes, so hot. Like, the first lap, out the back, there's no runoff, you can't make a mistake here, so when you're under pressure on the first lap and stuff, you've got to be so careful, and the first few laps I was definitely driving within myself to try and make sure. Obviously I've got everyone talking about the championship as well, so I knew I couldn't make any mistakes on those first few laps. McNeely's probably not my race this weekend. I was more focused on Cooper, and then thankfully I just managed to get my head down, build a gap, and just manage the temperatures of the tyres and things like that, because it's just too hot here.
Yeah, it is very, very warm. It's got a little bit cooler now, but Cooper was the faster driver in that race. He had the fastest lap, and it just shows that your results in qualifying were really, really important to lead from the front and lead the entire race and take the checker flag.
Yeah, if I was in 3rd, I would have finished 3rd. It's just we're all so consistent. I'd say the other 2 are great drivers, so if you qualify behind them, you're probably not going to overtake them unless you're at somewhere like Silverstone. So yeah, this morning was really important, and today was really important to see what can happen tomorrow.
Excellent. We'll let you go and celebrate with the rest of your team. Tom Mills there, your race winner in the GB4 Championship. Let me go and find Liam McNeely here with Fox Motorsport coming 2nd. I think it's 6th podium of the season so far. We'll just let him continue celebrating. Liam, great drive from you, pushing Tom all the way there. I think your 6th podium this season, so a really, really good season for you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had great pace at the start. Just sort of dropped off towards the middle, and sort of tried to keep it alive towards the end. But the aero wash is quite strong around here, so clean air is quite valuable. So when you get in it, you need to make the most of it, which Tom did. So yeah, fair play.
When you were pushing Tom the whole way like you were, are you just waiting for that one mistake, or are you more focused on your own race? It's a real battle in your head, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean you've got to put him under pressure, and we did at the start, and once you hit that aero wash, it's like a brick wall. You don't seem to gain any more time. So yeah, I mean we'll give it another go tomorrow, and hopefully we'll go one better.
You will indeed. Nice one. 2nd place, Liam McNeely there with Fox Motorsport. Let's find Cooper Webster here. Hey Cooper, how you doing? First time we've chatted this weekend so far. I mean, you were the fastest driver out there with the fastest lap, but I guess your grid position is the thing that held you back from challenging Tom in the race there.
Yeah, it didn't feel like I was the fastest in the race there, but yeah, I did my best and just got a good start. Made it one spot, but then yeah, didn't have the pace at the beginning of the race, so then I lost the gap to Duke Millie and Tom there, but it was good in the middle, and I think I was nailed there a couple laps, but I think everyone else was nailing their laps at different times in the race. So no, it was good fun, but my eyes were stinging in the middle of the race. I had the sweat in my eyes, but no, it was good fun.
Is it weird coming from the Australian sort of winter, from how we'd understand it over here, to coming over and racing in the UK while it's hot? Is that a bit disconcerting for you?
Yeah, I mean, I never had seasons change this fast in my life before, but I think this is a little taste of summer when I get back to home later in the year.
Yeah, well, look, there's lots of races to go. You know, you're still very much in it there in the championship, in the GB4 Championship, and you know, come the end of the year, you never know, you might have the biggest prize. You'll be pushing Tom all the way, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the gap to Tom is quite big now, but you know, I'm just going to keep trying to win races and get the points when I can, because you know, I can't afford a DNF. You know, yeah, you know, Colin and McNeely are right there, and they're racing. So yeah, just keep bagging points and try to win races where I can. But yeah, I think it's going to be tough to win the championship now.
Okay, we'll never say never. Thanks very much for chatting to me. Cooper Webster with Evans GP. We'll let him go and get his trophy, and we'll see that trophy presentation before we chat to some of the other drivers. Over to Lewis.
Thank you indeed, Johners. Wow, yeah, very interesting to catch up with all of them, but I think it's about ready that we take a look at highlights from the race. Highlights from the first race of the Brands Hatch weekend. It was Tom Mills starting from pole position and leading on the race down into that first corner after a decent translation on the race start. Issues for those behind. Zach Ping not getting particularly offline well from third position, getting overtaken by Cooper Webster and, of course, by Colin Craig around the outside at Paddock Hill Bend. As they head their way up towards Druids, it was a comfortable lead for our championship leader, pulling away from Liam McNeely in the early stages. Couple of darts, ducks and weaves in the background from some of those going on the attack. Harry Burgoyne Jr. being the lead of those, going straight down the outside, trying to get a move done on Clifford, and was unable to do so on that occasion. A couple of looks down the inside as Ping was kind of struggling to get up to speed in the opening stages. Some looks around the outside. That was Sid Smith in the Fox Motorsports car, making it around the outside of Darianani. Also, there was a bit of an attack from Carney going through in all of that. Towards the end of the first couple of races, it was McNeely firing his way up the order, rather when it was come to closing down on our race. He was setting fastest lap after fastest lap, but maybe overdoing his tyres too quickly. Then the fastest lap swing went the way of this man, Cooper Webster, charging up to the rear end of McNeely. They were just ebbing and flowing on the timesheets, but they weren't actually closing in. They were sticking their current positions and not changing. No one challenging this man here, Tom Mills, winning his 9th race of the season. Great stuff there from Tom Mills, taking yet another victory. Liam McNeely in second position, Cooper Webster in third. Those podium finishers that we heard from earlier. Colin Queen and Josh Irfan finished in fourth and fifth. Then we get Sid Smith in sixth position, Burgoyne Jr., Kulkarni, Darianani, and unfortunately Clifford finishing in 10th position after a post-race 10-second time penalty for abusing track limits. Well, we'll head down to Chris Dawes, who is on the podium duties.
Right, so for the opening race of the GB4 Championship partnered by the BRDC. In third position, number 37, Cooper Webster. Well done, Cooper. Simon's going to present the trophy. In second place, number 48, Liam McNeely. But the victory, he keeps marching towards the title. Number 21, Tom Mills. Well done, gents. I think I need to hand back to you, Bob. You've done it hard. No problem.
The first person, Josh Irfan. Josh, we saw you fighting hard there. Nearly got done by Jack Clifford at the end, but didn't quite. But I think there was a little something that made driving a little interesting out there today.
Yeah, I had quite a bit of play in my steering wheel, which just worsened. I think something was the upright became loose at the end. But yeah, it's just got it back. Came like a solid P5. So just look what tomorrow has as well.
And hopefully the car will feel better when everything is tip top.
Yeah, of course. It was pretty scary out the back when. Yeah, it's so on the limit, and when you got a problem like that, it's just a liability waiting to happen. So yeah.
And Josh, you've been doing quite a few championships this year. It's good to have you back in the championship again. What's the plans for next year? Going to do a full campaign in this championship? You can do some more race and other things.
I'm not sure yet. It's undecided. I think I need to find some budget, see how the season goes, and then hopefully what I really want to do is go GB3. But we'll see how it goes.
What's the draw with GB3?
The speed, the corner speed. It is pretty insane. Like. They're lifting through that whole back section. It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Yeah, they are pretty cool. But anyway, great to have you back in the championship. Well done in race number 1. I'll see you get on tomorrow. Let's grab a word with Jack Clifford if Jack's ready. Jack, come on in, mate. Duck underneath the rope. Jack, you had a nice, good race there. Right up the back of Josh Irfan right towards the end. Couldn't quite get him, but talk us through the race from your perspective.
Yeah, well, the start was okay. I did have to defend through the first 2 corners. But I was able to sort of maintain position, and then we were all pretty much in a bit of a train. No one was making any moves. Everyone was just sort of making the best of the dirty air. And then I saw Ping had looped it a few times out the back. Irfan nearly hit him. That was a bit, yeah, it was close. And then so we were up into 6th. And then towards the second half of the race, the gap to Irfan was probably 2 seconds or something. And then we were closing up, and then the last lap we were on him. But then the checkered flag came out. So.
Just came out a lap too early. Now I saw on your socials that you said, you know, this weekend's going to be hot, a bit more accustomed to your homeland back in Oz. But you're not immune to a bit of sweat. There's a bit of beading going on there.
And I've wiped it off multiple times since I got out of the car. So no, I've definitely taken some protocols to stay cool with wet towels and hydration tablets and things like that. Because I've been in the UK for like 7 months, I've acclimatised to the weather. It's not like I've just come back from Australia and I'm sitting on the beach. So yeah, the heat's knocking me around a little bit.
Yeah, as you can tell, we're not particularly used to this either. But anyway, great race. What's your hope for tomorrow? Decent qualifying from you.
Yeah, well, tomorrow I think we're starting in the same spot. So today's race didn't have as much overtaking as I'd like. So that will probably make tomorrow's race a little bit more difficult. So today's pace was good, especially over the whole 18 minutes. It's not like the car dropped off. We stayed pretty quick the whole time. So hopefully tomorrow that comes into our favour.
Brilliant. Well, let's see how you get on then. Sid, let's grab a quick word with Sid Smith for the Fox Motorsport team. Sid, your teammate Liam was right up the front there. You seem like you had some sketchy moments out the back, but it must be great fun driving these GB4 cars at British Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's so much fun, but it's so scary around the back section because the grass is almost on the track that you're going around just hoping you're going to catch it and have a bit of a moment. But yeah, after qualifying, we felt like we should have been a little bit higher, so I was excited to kind of get there, get a good start and show some good pace. But yeah, we made it happen, showed some good pace at the start. I kind of got stuck in like the dirty air training a little bit, but had a bit of a moment, dropped back and then was right back there again. But it was yeah, a good race. I felt like we had a good hat with the boys in front and could have got past them, but they just didn't make any mistakes, neither did I, and we were just going through having a good time. But yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, not the easiest circuit to overtake on Brands GP, but you've clearly been putting a lot of work in behind the scenes with your fitness because there's not a bead of sweat on you.
No, yeah, honestly, since the start of the season, I've realised that it's quite physical. Even though you're out in the open, really, it's still quite hard on the temperatures and stuff. So I've been doing lots of training throughout the season. Yeah, in the gym with the heat training on the sim and stuff to kind of almost just get the performance better and get the fitness, because without the fitness you don't have the performance. So yeah, that's how it is.
Brilliant. Well, let's see how you get on tomorrow. Looking forward to tomorrow. Think you can make up some positions?
Well, yeah, definitely. We're starting P9 again, so I don't see why we can do the same thing again. Hopefully P5 this next time instead of P6. Well, always hope for a podium, but you've got to keep edging forward.
Brilliant. Thanks for chatting to us, Sid. I'll let you go and have your cold shower this evening. Now, let's grab our final driver, Colin Queen. Colin driving for the Forte Motorsports team. Colin, that was a pretty tricky race, quite hot out there. How was it for you behind the wheel?
It was a bit lonely, to be honest. You know, I would have liked to be up there battling for third. Well, hell, even a win, you know, if the chances arose. But you know, just needed to nurse the tires the whole time, and you know, just push
push at the end, but you know, we didn't really have the pace that we wanted. You just need to find some time, especially in the middle sector. So yeah, no, hopefully come tomorrow or race 2, we'll be right there.
Where do you think that time is? Is it in you, the car, a bit of both?
Probably a bit of both, to be honest. I mean, I'm not gonna blame it solely on the car or anything. So yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, going over data and video, you know, maybe making some tweaks with the setup. So yeah, that's all we could do at the moment. But no, it's really fun to drive out there. It's really hot today, but dealt with it quite well. Yeah, no, it's so fun.
It is such a good circuit, but also very confidence is very crucial around here. I feel like you can get lap time, not even from like, you know, setup changes, just from feeling more confident on circuit. Is that a thing that you're experiencing as well?
Definitely. You know, you have to, it's a lot of mental knowledge over here in the back section especially, you know, in order to be really, really quick. So, you know, it's a bit tricky. I didn't really wrap my head around it last week in practice, but, you know, definitely getting the hang of it. We're quick, we know that. But, you know, it's all putting the pieces together, getting a good start like I did, but, you know, hopefully even better, maximizing our chances, passing for third possibly tomorrow morning, and yeah.
We'll see how you get on. Thanks for chatting to us, Colin. Good luck tomorrow. Get a cold shower and cool off. Jonas.
That walk underneath the Brands Hatch track in this heat never gets any cooler. Just going to put it out there. A good race for Tom Mills. Not maybe the most adventurous race in terms of on-track activity, but some great drivers. I was really impressed with Liam Neely.
Yes.
To push Tom Mills all the way and not make a mistake himself, because I guess when you're pushing as a driver that hard against someone who is so strong in this GB4 car, it's probably quite easy to push a bit too hard.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw Liam pushing hard at the start of the race, closed the gap from about a second down to under 3/10. Sat there for a lap or so, and then just tyres went away a little bit maybe with the dirty air. And I think it was just Tom Mills showing his experience, second year in the championships with the same team. He just knew that if he didn't make any mistakes, the tyres would come to him, and he did. He pulled away again by the end of the race, and you know, great drive from Liam McNeely, but you need to be that much better to get a win over Tom Mills.
You do indeed. So let's take a look at the championship standings after that race. You know, Tom Mills now has a 109-point lead in the championship for KMR Sport over Cooper Webster, who we also heard from there coming third. He's on 348 points to Tom Mills 457. Obviously Cooper driving for Evans GP. In third it's Liam McNeely driving for Fox Motorsports, 308 points. Behind him the guy we just heard from, Colin Queen, driving for Fortec Motorsports on 295 points. Just chatted to Colin's dad actually, saying that this is kind of similar to whether they used to back home over in California. Harry Burgoyne Jr. fifth in the championship, joint with Jeremy Fairbairn, who's Graham Brunton Racing teammates of course. Dieter Kulkarni, Fortec Motorsports, down in seventh on 185 points with one of our Australian drivers, Jack Clifford, 175 points there in eighth for KMR Sport. Ruhan Alva, who's not racing here this weekend for Fortec, on 165 points in ninth place. And of course Sid Smith, number 99 car for Fox Motorsports, in 10th on 155 points. So there we go. I mean, this weekend so far is going exactly how Tom Mills once said. Do you think he's going to win this championship this weekend?
I think there's a high likelihood we could be leaving this weekend with a champion crowned. I think the pace and dominance that Tom Mills has shown in testing, qualifying and race number 1, barring anything I can't foresee, you know, any unforeseen circumstances, I think he's the driver to beat, and I think he'll probably have a win tomorrow, and that will be enough.
I would imagine so. And just to let you know, I didn't get told off for chatting to those marshals, who were a lovely couple, and they've been doing it for 20 years. What an amazing story that was from them. So look, we've got 4 more races for you tomorrow. We've got 2 in the GB3 Championship, 2 in the GB4 Championship. We could crown a champion in GB4. I think we're going to have to wait a little bit longer, perhaps till the season-ending race weekend at Donington Park in the GB3 Championship. We'll be back here with the GB4 Championship for the second race of the weekend. It all kicks off exactly where you're watching right now at 10 AM. We'll see you then.